There are four main elements that I see, and that is time on task, support functions, structure of the course, and the feedback that we're able to give our students. So in terms of that, the basics of how you could design something very quickly and effectively, be consistent with your naming conventions on the weekly activities and echo the syllabus or your course outline in what you prepare in Connect. And that helps students to make a seamless connection between what you're talking about in the learning management system and what they're studying in Connect. And you can see an example here. Many of our Connect products actually contain an online, preparing for online module that you can also include. So that's a great thing to do. And I always stress guide student behaviour with the naming convention of your activities. So we always say that adaptive learning is best before class, can be used other ways. So we would normally call that pre-class study, and just trying to guide students that it's important to read before they come to class. Obvious, but many students don't do that. And then similarly, a really good and easy structure is to simply have your pre-class study and a post-class quiz. And they will understand if you repeat that each week, that's the sequence. Do your reading and study before, do your quiz and testing and practice afterwards. So another key recommendation that works well for instructors that I work with is starting with a session 0, which is where you put some materials to help students learn how to use Connect and also where to go to get help. Obviously, we would recommend you also put those in your learning management system in case there's an issue with student access. But giving them that gives them that security that they know where these resources are and they can go and get help at any time. There's multiple help areas set within Connect. I think there's around 4, so we try to really highlight where students can go to take the emphasis off you if they've forgotten their password, for example. Oops. Okay, and just thinking about the way that we structure the course, there's a really key theory that I like to talk about, and that is cognitive load theory. And intrinsic cognitive load is the difficulty of the material that you're setting itself, which is sort of predetermined in many ways by the course and the outcomes. Extrinsic cognitive load is something that we have more control over, and that's how the material is presented. So in keeping that very consistent naming structure and often the types of activities that you offer within Connect, you can really reduce some of that load. If you think about what happens when you go onto a website and you just are confronted with so much information, you're not sure where to click or where to go, that's a great example of what happens when the cognitive load is exceeding our processing capacity. So we struggle to complete the activity successfully. And here we're just trying to reduce frustration and disengagement from the student. So we can really control that, as I mentioned, with the course structures and the naming conventions. It sounds simple. I've worked with hundreds of academics and I can see the difference when things are laid out very clearly and when they're just kind of, ad hoc. It makes a big difference to guiding students through. So we want to provide students with a framework that guides and supports their learning, and we can do that through Connect. We can provide ways for students to connect their current knowledge with their prior knowledge, and I suggest we do that through very quick instructions to add to each of the activities. And my cheat is to simply write a set of instructions, couple of lines, and then copy and paste and tweak them as you need to throughout the course. And of course, we're here to help you with that. And being explicit with students about how new topics will link back with the previous ones and how it's something that they're doing may help with a future activity. And that, I would suggest, as I've mentioned, would be through instructions that we would add. So you can just simply set anything in Connect without instructions, and this is where I think it's really important to mention that signposting is just critical in your online experience. And I've given you an example there. So you just want to tell the students what's in it for me, why would I do this, how long would it take me, what am I going to learn, and how will I be learning this? Is it a video? Is it questions? That sort of thing. And that helps students to be able to make an adult decision about whether they want to start something now, whether they've got time to do it, that kind of thing. And I think something that's really critical is that there is the ability to reinforce your key messages. We do have within Connect Integrity, which you can use free to make short videos to reinforce your key concepts, or you could use your own lecture capture. Key to what we do within Connect is assign things for students and make them visible. And we have some excellent feedback or policy options that can really take your course to the next level with the online learning. So if you're giving things like full feedback after every question, that can help to keep students engaged if it's for low stakes. Or you might want to provide full feedback and solutions each time they complete a quiz, and then give them multiple options to practice that and letting them know. And then you can really start to increase your online engagement with students and get them coming back into the system and using those materials. If we delay the feedback, as you would know, sometimes that can disrupt the learning process. As I mentioned, at the heart of everything is SmartBook, which provides instant feedback to students. So even if you don't want to do that with the quiz or anything else that you set, know that students will be getting that continuous feedback and remediation through their use of SmartBook. Something that not everyone knows is that Check My Work and Handy Hints are often available in different disciplines, and that can be great for students as well. Sometimes there are even guided examples so that they can see how something should be worked before they have a go. Time on task is so critical to putting together an online course, and the temptation is often to pick lots of resources. Try to calculate how long you want students to spend online. Here's a general rule. Multiple choice could take between 1 and 2 minutes, depending on complexity. We have some filters in our question banks that will help you to see how long something might take, because you can filter on different Bloom's levels and level of difficulty. You can always calculate, if you don't know how long it would take to do something, by timing yourself and multiplying by 3. With adaptive study, the SmartBook, try to set that slider bar a little bit lower, because we need to remember that there is reading time in addition to the question time, which is the only thing that's calculated on the slider bar. So we want to keep that an engaging resource for students to use, and know that you will still get excellent coverage from the questions, even at a lower time limit. A couple more, and I'm almost done. Participation. Use the question bank within Connect to create polling questions using Zoom, and that creates a lot of engagement. For active learning, you can use chapter cases or worked examples and then get students into a breakout room. To reinforce, you can use end of chapter questions to work through in your face-to-face time. You can deliver pre-exam drills to make sure that your students are ready, and that keeps them very engaged in the online resources. And for high-stakes assessment, please feel free to reach out to any of your consultants, because we have a proctoring or lockdown functionality available that will help to help to reduce cheating and really help you to know who is taking the exam. So this is the key thing that I wanted to share with you. Communication, when you're going online, communication is critical. Give your students a roadmap about the changes. Let them know if it's your first time with the technology. They'll be a lot more, hopefully, kind to you in terms of how the course goes and their own reactions. And take their feedback. Tell them that you're developing that course together online and that their feedback is useful. Start as simply as you can. As I've mentioned, maybe just 2 things a week, pre and post-class activities. It's a new world for you and your students. Less is more. Be wary of that course and a half, which very often happens in blended learning, which is where you kind of put together too many materials. You can always tweak things along the way. Go easy on yourself. Assigning points to any of the online work will be critical for engagement. And my final message is we are really here to help you. We have fully developed courses we can share with you that you can tweak, that have been created by learning designers. We've got support sites, videos, implementation guides, and of course your wonderful